The whole point of semen retention is not to ignore women. However, you will find yourself, if you are practicing semen retention, seemingly wanting to ignore women. And it's not because you have something wrong with you. It's just that you're realizing that these are emotional creatures that are constantly wearing a moral mask. And you have no other option but to just determine with your discernment whether or not these are people that are, because women are people, even though a lot of men who have anger toward women don't think so. Women are people. They just sometimes can be very cruel and savage in how they go about life, even though we're told that they're these innocent, angelic beings, right? And you might find yourself ignoring women, not because you want to, but just because you don't really need to feel validation anymore. And I think that that's really what frees a man ultimately, and what vindicates him from being a slave to female energy is, well, semen retention is going to offer an out for that. It's going to be a way in which people can live that is not going to be a hindrance to themselves. And welcome to another Semen Retention Sunday episode on the Regal Change account. I'm Thaddeus, and today I want to discuss this topic because it's become more apparent to me and gradually become more clear that there's a lot of men that think that ignoring women and not being in a relationship with a woman is the goal of semen retention. It's not the goal of semen retention. The semen retention goal is to get closer to God, number one. And number two, it's to transcend your lustful desires. But you'll find that you can never truly transcend those lustful desires. But what you can do is you can accept them. And in that acceptance of them is how you transcend these things and the feelings and the urges and such. And just acknowledging that, yes, you're capable of lust just as much as any other person. And especially when it comes to women, okay, the moral mask that they wear, do not be deceived, okay? There's women who are going to be implicit in their deceptions, and there's going to be women who are very open about what they do, even though it's degenerate. And personally, I have more respect, even though I don't really have respect for those types of women, but I have more respect for the women that at least are honest about their degeneracy rather than the women who pretend to be like traditional and end up being these women that are nowhere near. And this is something that many men unfortunately have fallen into the trap of. And so what semen retention allows you to do is you're allowed this new type of discernment from God to see the true spiritual connections that you have with some women and not with others, or vice versa. And you're able to see the spiritual connection more deeply. And you're able to see and have a spiritual connection with people more deeply, because ultimately, that's what we're all looking for. We're all looking for a more deep spiritual connection. It's just a matter of how we do that and how we go about it. And I think that one thing that happens is that one of the reasons why men are ignoring women more on semen retention is because they find more peace with themselves. And honestly, I think that that's a good thing. But again, I don't think not engaging with women is the goal. Okay, the goal is to create a relationship with a woman who is godly, who is warm, who is inviting, feminine, and empathetic, who has integrated herself to the point in which you can actually have a relationship with her. Because most of these women, they're just not ready for you, man. They're just not ready. They're not ready for anybody. And it's crazy how we have to go through so many different kinds of processes and experiences where you'll get to a point to where you'll be able to pick up pretty quickly who's real and who's not. However, it doesn't mean that you can't get got. Okay, there are, again, very deceptive women out here that are very, very covert when it comes to their deceptions. And they're going to do anything and everything they can to ensure that you don't see through them. Okay, and they can put on a good show for a while, but sooner or later, There's going to be something that triggers them. And the reason that this happens is because a lot of these women have not dealt with their animus. Okay? We have, as men in our own psyches, we have the anima, which is the totality of feminine experiences as an archetype in our own mind. Women have the animus, which is the totality of masculine experiences inside their own psyche. And if you have a terrible relationship with the totality of feminine or masculine experiences in your mind, whether you're a male or female, it's going to affect how you see life. And make no doubt about it, the relationship that you have to your unconscious mind is going to be reflected in the relationships that you have with men or women, depending on if you're a man or a woman watching this, right? So depending on your capacity to relate to the opposite gender is going to be determined also by the relationship that you have with your unconscious. And so, well, how do you approach your habits or your virtues or your vices? How do you approach these things? It's going to get revealed to you in regard to the other types of women around you. For example, with myself, I've always been more, well, it's not really me that's been more attracted to these kinds of women. It's more like women that are like this are more attracted to me. They're usually fairly extroverted, and they're usually more sense-based rather than intuitive or spiritually based. Women like this are very attracted to me. And it's not to say that women that are not spiritual aren't attracted to me. It's just that many women that are hyper materialistic seem to be attracted to me because I'm not materialistic. Like, I'm the direct opposite of them. And I can feel that they can feel that, even though they don't maybe know that it's conscious, that they can be healed by being in my presence. Unfortunately, a lot of these types of women, they will not do the work or have the accountability to actually make that step forward and to make that leap forward. It's going to be a problem for them in the long run. And so what we can do, and all that we really can aim to do as men in these situations, is to see, okay, well, who's exactly, like, out of the selection that you have, which hopefully, you know, if you've built yourself up enough and you've been on semen retention long enough, you're going to have a selection. Okay, out of that selection, who do you want to choose to pursue a relationship with? And you get to just choose, man. Like, it's really something to be able to be a man that women are basically, they're not throwing themselves at you, but they might as well be. And you'll also find, though, that if you're an attractive man on semen retention, or just really in general, there might be a few women that will want to reject you just because they know that you have the ability to choose other women. They will do this, and it's not a fun sight. You know, it's a very much an ego thing, and this is part of the moral mask that women hold. Okay, they want to inflate their own value to make you feel like you don't have what it takes, when in reality that's not the case at all. You've always had what it takes. You're more valuable. Like, you by definition, she wouldn't be interested in you unless you were more valuable to her than her to some degree. And in what kind of value? Well, that's determined by the woman, really, because it depends. That's why broke men, quote unquote, or trash men, quote unquote, loser, quote unquote, men can be so attractive to women, because women either want to feel powerful in the relationship and their feminist nature comes out and they haven't actually developed a proper relationship with their animus, or they see that this man, he just does what he does all day and he can do whatever he wants, and oh, I like the lifestyle that he has. Like, she might not admit this consciously, but that is what's going to be going on in her mind. So all in all, this is one of the reasons why men will start to ignore women, is because they just know who's going to respond to their energy and who's going to just try to play around with it. Okay, and you might see a woman who she wants to want you, but she like doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know how to act around you. She doesn't know how to respond around you. Because most of these women have never met a man that's actually in his own spiritual energy. Okay, have you seen the men of today? We've got a lot of work to do as men. We really do. But it really won't take too many of us to really get our crap together before women start to realize that there are good men out there that are not going to put up with their crap and that can see through their moral mask. And once that happens, because you think these women don't want to be seen, you think these women want to be seen for who they are? No, not a lot of these women want to be seen for who they are. They're scared of that. They're scared of being seen for who they are, because if you knew who they were, you wouldn't even want to talk to them probably most of the time. But the thing is that there's a lot of men who are simps that are on that simp cuck train that are going to the land of feminism and the city of taking balls where they they worship these Bonely Cans creators, and that's it. That's their life, dude. And I don't know about you, but I don't think that's much of a life. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live like that at all. So all of a sudden, when you have boundaries and principles and standards that you follow, it's going to be a problem for some of these women. And there's nothing to do about it other than to just keep doing what you're doing and going how you're going, because that's going to be what's going to be best for you ultimately down the line. So I hope that this message was useful and insightful for you. I hope everybody stays blessed out there. Sign up for the Godlike Master Initiation Program with me, or a one-on-one call, or join the free tier of Regal Change Academy. We also have the premium tier where you'll have access to the community in the free tier, but in the paid tier, the premium tier, you'll have access to the calls and the classes there. So I hope everybody stays blessed. Peace. Until next time.